Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Elle and I'm so happy that you decided to click on this video. Today we are going to be talking about how to prepare to have a successful semester in college. Right now I am a third year college student. I'm studying marketing at Texas State University and I feel like I've learned so much every single semester and really picked up on how to manage yourself beforehand to the semester starting to have success. For me, it definitely takes a lot of planning, a lot of intentionality, and goal setting. If I am missing any of these three key items, then I won't do as well as I know I can. So if you want to hear a couple tips and tricks on how to prepare yourself to have a super successful semester, how to organize yourself and get ready mentally, physically, everything, then keep watching. I got new pens, guys. So fun fact, tomorrow is my last first day of school until I come back to school to do my MBA in like a couple years. I'm choosing to come back later rather than right now because it's more beneficial regarding like what I want to do. So that's what I'm doing. This is like the end of the line. This is what all of kindergarten, high school, everything leads up to, and after this, it's big girl job time. I'm really scared if I'm totally honest with you, but yes, let's start preparing. So I'm just gonna be writing down some notes in my planner right here. It has a notes section in the back. Now I'm gonna pull up the software that we use at my school to distribute class information. The one we use is called Canvas. I use this one in high school as well. Very similar to Blackboard, tracks, things like that. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to write down all my classes and then I'm going to assign a color to them. And then throughout the semester, I will refer back to that color as being associated with that class, and it's really easy when I look at my planner. As I'm doing this, I'm just gonna let you know how important it has been for me and how important I think it is in general to have a goal. Even while you're doing this, like your subconscious is so powerful. The energy that you put out into the universe is so powerful and your intentions are really powerful. So do you want to get A's this semester? What do you want? Do you want to pass? What's something that you realistically can aspire to do? So I'm gonna go ahead and write down my goal at the very top of this paper. So here is what my paper looks like as of right now. I've just written down all my different class names. I'll go ahead and go over those with you. So I've got culture and film, employment law, media criticism, marketing management, and my capstone class, which is just gonna be a class that ties everything together that I learned throughout my major. Two of those classes might seem a little out of place, culture and film and media criticism. I also have a minor in mixed media, so that's why those are there. But yes, what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go ahead and go into each of my little classes on Canvas and I'm going to look at the syllabi for all my classes, and I'm gonna write down what is gonna be graded in each one. Once I've written that, I'm gonna go ahead and write down the percentages of what everything is worth. Maybe if I find it important, I'll write down some important dates. What I've found in the past is that if I don't do this, I won't realize how much each small part of what we're doing in the class is worth, and then maybe I'll miss something that could have actually helped me transition from a lower grade to a higher grade. Once you see how much everything is worth, you can kind of pick and choose what you know you need to do very well on and what you know you can kind of slack on. For me, I'm really big on missing assignments. You know, I'm human. For me, it's really, really helpful having in this notebook the information that tells me, oh, it's okay if you miss up to 2 assignments. It's okay if you miss up to 10 assignments. You can still get your A. You just cannot miss more than 10. Doing this also will help you keep track of your semester. You'll know just about like where everything's gonna be, what the end goal of each class is gonna be, so then you can kind of take notes and do your work more accordingly. If you're in a class that builds really heavily off of previous material, you're gonna know that it's really important that you are engaged. It is gonna be vital that you are on top of that class. If you miss an assignment, you're gonna have to go back and do it. Otherwise, you're not gonna fully understand what happened in that material and then be able to perfect and do well in the following material. It's a class that takes some material, goes through it, and then moves on and never goes back to it again. You already know, like if you miss a test, if you miss a quiz, if you do anything like that, that material, you don't ever have to look at it again. So if you do bad, you get a bad grade, like at least you don't have to go back for it. All right, so it's been a little bit over an hour and I have finished going through all of the different syllabus or syllabi. I'm now gonna go over with you what I wrote down and what I feel like is really important to make sure you take away from the syllabus. So for my very first class, I've got culture and film. I know that the text that we're gonna be using is a website, which is different if we compare it over to my next class, employment law. We see that there is a custom textbook and a McGraw-Hill program. McGraw-Hill is essentially a learning supplement. Usually it's like a program that will curate some quizzes, tests, homework, things like that. And McGraw-Hill is just one of the tons of ones. I know Pearson, I've used that one before, and this year I'm going to be using one called Packback. But getting back to the very first class, culture and film, yes, the text is the website. Then I got some homework. Those are going to be called home assignments. And those are essentially not part of my grade, but they are going to be helping me in further understanding the material. And if I don't do them, I probably won't have anything to go off for my tests. In this class, I've only got 3 grades and it's 3 total tests. The first one's 25%, second is 35%, and the last one is a big 40%. And that one is my final, which means that for this class, I have a mandatory final. I wanted to make sure and note that she does do extra credit and it happens before the second test. If a professor or teacher lets you know that they do extra credit beforehand, you need to take that into account and know that it is very unlikely they are not going to give you any more extra credit other than what is stated in the syllabus, because they're going to be like, well, it was there from the beginning, like you should have known. And what's tricky here is, like, for example, this one's before the second test. That's gonna be like a month from now, 2 months from now. The remainder of the semester is usually when people start being like, oh my God, I need extra credit. But the thing is that opportunity already passed. So that's why it's really, really important to write down like what the policy is on extra credit. If a professor doesn't have a policy on extra credit disclosed, it's a little bit more likely that they may be a little bit more lenient to doing pop-up opportunities throughout the semester, or maybe even more lenient to curving your grade. But yes, it seems like this teacher probably won't budge regarding extra credit. Next, I've written down that lectures are going to be face-to-face, so I'm going to have to go. It's going to be presencial, like I'm going to be there in the classroom. And as well, they're going to include discussion. So not only am I going to have to be paying a lot of attention and being engaged, I'm going to have to know what I'm talking about because we're going to be discussing. We're going to be put on the hot seat. As well, this professor is going to be Zooming the lecture for anybody who's sick every time, just in case. This is part of the modifications that we're adding for COVID at my school. There's no attendance for this class. Very important to know if attendance is going to be mandatory in class. And the other 2 things that I wrote down was that we're going to be watching films and that there's going to be online readings. So all these things are really important because although my only 3 things that are being graded are exams, all these other things are going to be contributing to my grade. If I don't watch a film, I'm not going to be able to discuss in class. If I don't watch a film, I'm not going to do well on my exam. Stuff like that. So I try to write all of that down because a class is more work than just taking an actual exam. A class is more work than just doing X amount of homework. There's other components that are going to require energy and time from you. So I won't go through another entire class thing that I wrote down, but I will go through a couple important things independently that I wrote about each of them. My employment law class, it's really important that I note that there's going to be both pre-recorded lectures and live lectures. Those 2 are not going to be the same thing. So that means a little bit more work for me, but it's important that I know that they are not the same thing, both beforehand and actually when I'm in class, because first, this class also puts you on the hot seat. We're going to be discussing in class. And second, I actually got an email saying that I have to watch a pre-recorded lecture to prepare for my very first day of class in this particular subject. So very important. My marketing management class mentioned that they use PowerPoint slides and that it is mandatory that you print them out and bring them to class. This usually just means that this professor is going to be lecturing based off of the PowerPoint slide, and he is going to be really like going through it, so you're not really going to have very much time to write down like independently on your own. When I was a sophomore, I tried to get away from doing the PowerPoint slide because I felt like I would learn a little bit more if I actually wrote out all the information on my own. But the reason that professor had made it so that we had PowerPoints was because they were just going to be like going through this information as fast as possible, and then I ended up being behind in almost every single class. So for that reason, I encourage you that if somebody says print out the PowerPoint slides and bring them to class, do it. I've got 2 classes that are going to be requiring for us to do a group project. This is extremely important on the first day of school, on the first day that you like go into your lecture. When you're sitting around people, try to like scan the room, see who you know. If you don't know anyone, when you sit down, turn to your right, turn to your left, introduce yourself, and make sure that you have at least some idea of who you want to partner up with, because it's very possible that they're going to let you choose your own groups, or that they're going to have you partner up with the people that are in your close proximity. Projects can literally be a nightmare, so choose wisely. If you know someone in that class who is smart, go sit next to them, ask them if they want to partner with you, and you already know that group project is coming up, so you're going to be prepared. Very last thing I'm going to touch on here, I have one professor who specifically said that they do not take late work. This is extremely important because if a professor discloses previously that they do not take late work, in my experience, because I'm a very inclined person to do late work, they will not take it. On another hand though, I have another professor who does take late work as long as it's less than 24 hours after, and then they'll give you half credit. I've got a good introduction because of the syllabi of what I'm going to be dealing with for the next semester. I'm going to go ahead and go through every single one of the syllabi again, or the Canvas pages, and print out a schedule. Most syllabuses, is it syllabi? I'm just going to refer to them as syllabi from now on. Most syllabi towards the end will have a section that has like a schedule, so it'll talk about every single time that you're going to meet, when assignments are due, when tests are due, and it'll almost be like in a calendar format, or it'll be in a listed format. I really like to print out this specific part of the syllabus and just keep this. I'll write the subject at the very top in a bright colors, same thing, color coordinated with the according colors. And then this way, as the class goes on, you can start crossing off every single time that you go to a class. You can know exactly when your exams are. You can like pace yourself and know where you are in the class. So let me do that real quick. All right, guys, I've printed out all of the different course outlines, with exception to the very last class, because that one was super weird and didn't really have very much up yet. I'm guessing that the professor just isn't totally ready as of right now. Excuse my makeshift tripod. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go through and I'm going to highlight all of the important dates, whether that's an exam, a presentation, anything relatively important. And then the time that I look at this, my eyes are gonna shift towards what stands out, and I'll know more so what's going on time-wise regarding these really important assignments. Okay, so now I have gone through and done all of the highlighting for all of these. Pretty much my final step is going to be transferring these dates over into my planner. And then I'll start writing some first week of school details, kind of like exactly what it is in every single class that is going to be due, or that I have to do, whether I have to go to class in person or make sure that I'm logged on to a Zoom. And that's pretty much it. That's essentially all I do. If you were to want to add manifesting to this preparation for school, I would encourage you to write down not only your goals, so like I want to get all A's, or I want to pass this year or this semester. I would also encourage you to write how that's going to make you feel, and be like, once like the semester's over and this happens, I'm going to feel fulfilled, I'm going to be so happy. And also write down a couple steps that are always going to get you motivated to work towards that goal, whether that's a couple of words of affirmation like you got this, or like explaining to yourself in your own words why it is that you're working towards whatever goal. If we do these things and we're extremely motivated towards the beginning of our work, then we can look back in moments of difficulty further in the semester and then get re-motivated, re-energized, and get right back up. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and end the video here. I hope that you guys liked this one. I hope that you enjoyed seeing a little bit of how I prepare for my very first day of school. I literally can't believe it's the last day of school. Thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe and like if you want to see more from me, because I definitely want to see more from you. Drink water, feel your body, know I love you. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on Friday for another Val video. Bye!